Hello, folks. I'm Alan for today's news. I will be reading, speaking about world news, interesting news, news to keep you entertained, and news to keep you informed. I took off a couple of days because 2 days before that, I wasn't getting very many views, and it usually takes me most of the day just to find something to put on here. So I figured I'd take a couple of days off. What I got for you first is from U.S. News. Biden, this is from Biden. Zelenskiy has promised Ukraine won't use F-16 planes to go into Russia.
Hiroshima, Japan, Reuters. U.S. President Joe Biden on Sunday said he had received a flat assurance from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky that he would not use Western-provided F-16 fighter jets to go into Russian territory. Recommended videos. Biden told reporters in Hiroshima, Japan, at the conclusion of a meeting of world leaders that F-16 warplanes could be used wherever Russian troops are within Ukraine and the area. He said it was highly unlikely the planes would be used in any Ukrainian offensive in the coming weeks, but that Ukrainian troops could need such weapons to defend themselves against Russian forces beyond their current reach. Leaders of the Group of Seven, G7, richest democracies on Sunday said they would not back down from supporting Ukraine, in a warning to Russian President Vladimir Putin as he claimed to have taken the eastern city of Bakhmut, something Kiev denied.
Okay, and there's more to read about that if you want to read the rest of it, but he said he's not going to use it against Russia over their own country, but you never know. Accident does happen and stuff, and they might just use it over there anyway. Let me go to the next one here. This is from Bazinga. Probability that U.S. banks will restrict cash withdrawals is rising like Mercury, says Marco Guru.
Last week, macro guru and hedge fund manager Hugh Hendry shared his views on the U.S. banking system. On Stansberry Research's The Daniela Cambone Show, Hendry said that the Federal Reserve's monetary policy has increased the probability that banking customers could one day face restrictions on the amount of cash they can withdraw. If we went back a year ago, the probability you would assign to that would be almost zero. And I'm saying that probability, like Mercury, is rising, he said. Hendry then added, why is it rising? It's rising because we have experienced, I call it, the Fed folly. One can say factually that this Fed hiking is the fastest and of the greatest magnitude. They've never done this before. Hendry said that the country's banking industry will likely witness a further deposit flight since customers can now easily pull out their funds with the press of a button. Speaking about the Fed's interest rate hikes, he said, Fed's rate hikes over the past year have created an environment that makes it attractive for depositors to take their money out of banks and invest it in money market funds. A combination of being stuck with these uncompetitive rates and now the tyranny that money can fly so quickly. The thing that's pulling money out is the Fed's offering too much via money markets. I mean, you could go to the Fed directly, he said. So what's the Fed doing? It's encouraging more and more and more money to leave banks, Hendry added.
And that's all I got on that one there. Let me go to my next one here. Okay, this one here is from Go Banking Rates. Could the government stop you from pulling cash from banks? Money expert lays out his panic scenario.
Following the failures of Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank and First Republic Bank, Americans are understandably worried about bank stability and whether or not it's dangerous to trust banks with their money. According to a hedge fund guru Hugh Hendry, investors have every right to be in panic mode. Hendry, Eclectica Asset Management founder, luxury property manager and in-demand financial commentator, fears that the flood of investors pulling from the M2 supply of money, cash, checking deposits and other types of deposits that are readily convertible to cash such as CDs, may eventually force the government and Federal Reserve to consider placing withdrawal sanctions on Americans. I would recommend you panic, he said. That could reach a crescendo where the Treasury and the Fed may have to come in and actually restrict your right as a U.S. citizen to pull money out of the U.S. banking sector, said Hendry on Bloomberg Markets. As we have been reminded of repeatedly during this current bank failure crisis, up to $250,000 per depositor is safe at financial institutions that are Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, or National Credit Union Administration, NCUA, insured. This is true whether the bank or credit union is national, regional, or local. UT desperate times call for desperate measures, and Hendry likens the current scenario to the Gold Reserve Act of 1934, a government program aimed at boosting the faltering U.S. economy through restricting the private use of gold. Suggesting the Fed and Treasury resort to placing a lock or gate on banking deposits, Hendry stated, "I can actually conceive of a federal or Treasury rule coming in, saying, for the next 180 days, you can't pull your money out of the banking sector." In response to the present banking peril, Hendry, always unconventional in his thinking, thinks that Americans should potentially be looking outside the box, placing capital in ultra-long U.S. Treasury securities, which despite being the most reviled security in the universe, are offering meaningful yields, and Bitcoin, which might have more upside than stocks both this year and in the future.
Okay, and that's all I got on that one there. Yeah, I was going to get in Bitcoin a long time ago, but I never did, and I'm still not sure about it. And let me go to the next one here. This one here from Popper Mechanics. Scientists find the Holy Grail, the reason why lithium-metal batteries fail.
Scientists always knew lithium metal could revolutionize batteries, but they have one fatal flaw: they often short-circuit. No one knew why this happened, until now. Now, scientists can build better lithium-metal batteries to eventually produce more electric vehicles. When looking for an anode material for your next-gen battery, you can't do much better than lithium metal. Due to its high capacity, low density, and non-flammability, lithium-metal batteries could be an absolute game-changer for electric vehicles and the green tech revolution at large. There's just one problem: lithium-metal batteries have a tendency to short-circuit thanks to tiny fissures in the ceramic electrolyte called dendrites. The quest to figure out why this happens, and design a battery that circumvents this unfavorable outcome, is a holy grail of sorts for materials scientists, and the science world has maybe found its Galahad. This week, researchers from Stanford University and the SLAC National Accelerator Laboratory revealed evidence as to why these dendrites form within lithium-metal batteries. Previous theories have suggested unintended electron flow or some other mishap of chemistry could be the cause of the battery's failure. But after conducting more than 60 experiments, the researchers discovered that small, nanoscopic, cracks in the ceramic solid electrolyte, some as wide as only 20 nanometers, a human hair is 80,000 nanometers by the way, occur when under pressure during fast charging. These cracks allowed a lithium metal bridge to form between the anode and cathode, causing a short circuit. The results were published in the journal Nature Energy. Just modest indentation, bending or twisting of the batteries can cause nanoscopic fissures in the materials to open and lithium to intrude into the solid electrolyte, causing it to short-circuit, lead co-author William Chu says in a statement. Even dust or other impurities introduced in manufacturing can generate enough stress to cause failure. The researchers combined an electric probe and an electrolyte to create a miniature battery in an attempt to understand why lithium burrowed into certain areas and caused a short circuit. When resting, the lithium anode performed as designed, but any indenting, bending, or twisting, along with specks of dust gathered during the manufacturing process, increased the chances of failure. Lead co-author Xin Su compared the process to potholes. As car tires pound rain and snow into tiny imperfections in the road, causing an ever-increasing structural failure, the same happens inside lithium-metal batteries, albeit on a much smaller scale. Luckily, this isn't a death knell for lithium metal's future. In fact, it's great news. Now, engineers who are already hard at work designing lithium-metal batteries can take these findings into consideration to circumvent these shortcomings. The paper's authors also mention that they're now investigating ways to strengthen the electrolyte during manufacturing, as well as develop ways to coat the ceramic barrier so that it self-repairs damage when it occurs. In 2019, the same Stanford lab developed a method for lithium-metal batteries to retain 85% charge after 160 cycles, a major improvement compared to the previously reported 30%. These improvements all start with a single question: why, says co-author Ting Cui. Once we know that, we can improve things. Now that researchers have convincingly answered the question of why, the overall question of lithium metal's future is looking less like if and more like when.
Okay, I wonder is that why these scooters and electric bikes catching fires and stuff. Gotta get tiny cracks in them, build it, cause a leak. Anyway, let me go to my next one here. This one from the Associated Press. U.S. bomb designed to hit targets like Iran underground nuclear sites briefly reappears amid tensions.
Dubai, United Arab Emirates, AP, as tensions with Iran have escalated over its nuclear program, the U.S. military this month posted pictures of a powerful bomb designed to penetrate deep into the earth and destroy underground facilities that could be used to enrich uranium. The U.S. Air Force on May 2 released rare images of the weapon, the GBU-57, known as the Massive Ordnance Penetrator. Then it took the photos down, apparently because the photographs revealed sensitive details about the weapon's composition and punch. The publication of the photographs comes as the Associated Press reported that Iran is making steady progress in constructing a nuclear facility that is likely beyond the range of the GBU-57, which is considered the U.S. military last-ditch weapon to take out underground bunkers. What do we know about America's Massive Ordnance Penetrator? The U.S. developed the Massive Ordnance Penetrator in the 2000s as concerns grew over Iran hardening its nuclear sites by building them underground. The Air Force posted images of the bombs on the Facebook page for Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. The base is home to the fleet of B-2 stealth bombers, the only aircraft that can deploy the bomb. In a caption, the base said it had received 2 Massive Ordnance Penetrator bombs so a munitions squadron there could test their performance. It is not the first time the Air Force has published photos and videos of the bomb that coincided with rising acrimony with Tehran over its nuclear program. In 2019, the U.S. military released a video of a B-2 bomber dropping 2 of the bombs. The Air Force did not respond to requests for comment on why it posted, and removed, the most recent set of photos. What did we learn from the photos? The latest photos revealed stenciling on the bombs that listed their weight as 12,300 kilograms, 27,125 pounds. It also described the bomb as carrying a mix of AFX-757, a standard explosive, and PBXN-114, a relatively new explosive compound, said Rahul Adoshi, a senior weapons analyst at Janes, an open-source intelligence firm. The weight of the bomb, judging from the stenciling, shows the majority of it comes from its thick steel frame, which allows it to chew through concrete and soil before exploding. However, it remains unclear what the exact effectiveness of the weapon would be. The Warzone, an internet news site, first reported on the publication of the photographs. The AP contacted Whiteman Air Force Base and the Air Force's Global Strike Command with questions about the images. Within a day, the Facebook post vanished. Odoshi said the Air Force likely took them down because they revealed too much data about the bombs. Immediate removal from the internet without comment, or justification means there is a potential lapse, Odoshi said. What role would this bomb play in potentially targeting Iran's nuclear program? The AP reported on Monday that satellite imagery from Planet Labs PBC reveals Tehran has been digging tunnels in the mountain near the Natanz nuclear site in central Iran. Excavation mounds at the site suggest the facility could be between 80 meters, 260 feet, and 100 meters, 328 feet, under the ground, according to the experts and AP's analysis. Experts say the size of the construction project indicates Iran likely would be able to use the underground facility to enrich uranium as well, not just to build centrifuges. Those tube-shaped centrifuges, arranged in large cascades of dozens of machines, rapidly spin uranium gas to enrich it. Additional machines would allow Iran to quickly enrich uranium under the mountain's protection. That could be a problem for the GBU-57. In previously describing the bomb's capabilities, the Air Force has said it could tear through 60 meters, 200 feet, of ground and cement before detonating. Could the United States still try to drop the bomb? U.S. officials have discussed using 2 such bombs in succession to ensure a site is destroyed. But even then, the new depth of the Natanz tunnels likely presents a serious challenge. Further complicating any possible U.S. military strike is that the B-2 has been grounded since December when one caught fire after an emergency landing. The U.S. still could fly the aircraft if there's an operational need, said Colonel Bruce E. Vidal, a spokesperson for the Air Force's Global Strike Command. After dedicating hours of work to your garden, it's frustrating when animals feast on the fruit of your labor, literally. In a viral TikTok, Guru Earth Child, at Guru_says, shared a spicy gardening trick to keep animals out of your garden and make them think twice about returning for seconds. The scoop. To repel garden pests, this TikToker sprinkles cayenne pepper powder over her garden. It's a natural pest repellent with a fiery taste and scent that will banish woodland animals and bugs. The cayenne pepper hack is a temporary solution, so you'll need to reapply every few weeks or after rainfall. If my greens be pre-seasoned when you get them, you know why, Guru Earth Child says in the video. Because there are going to be no rabbits and no squirrels out here munching and having a feast. How it's helping. Cayenne pepper is a simple pest repellent, and you may already have it in your kitchen. It'll save your garden from hungry animals and bugs while helping you get the best yield of fruits, vegetables, and plants. Pesticides are a common tool in agriculture to kill or repel pests, including insects, rodents, weeds, bacteria, and fungi. But they pose an environmental risk when chemicals run off into bodies of water, including rivers, lakes, and groundwater. Chemicals don't always stay where they are applied and can drain into and contaminate water supplies. This endangers aquatic life, fish-eating wildlife, and drinking water sources. Replacing pesticides with cayenne pepper in your home garden can reduce this environmental impact and protect local water supplies. What everyone's saying. Fellow TikTokers loved this comical gardening hack, sharing their thoughts in the comments section. They'll bite it once but never bite it again, one user wrote. And they'll tell a friend. Keeps the bugs away too. You can also water the plants with water from boiled guajillo peppers too, another TikToker suggested.
Now, I have used cayenne pepper before, but the thing about it, once you water your plants, you got to reapply it. And I wasn't about to reapply it every day. And let's go to the next one here. This is from the Associated Press. South Korean German leaders agree to cooperate on chain supplies, North Korea.
Seoul, South Korea, AP, the leaders of South Korea and Germany on Sunday pledged more cooperation in building stable industrial supply chains and addressing the challenges posed by nuclear-armed North Korea as they met in Seoul after flying in from the Group of 7 meetings in Japan. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, in a joint news conference with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, pointed to the similarities between the two major manufacturing nations that are dependent on foreign trade and said a stronger supply chain partnership would help them cope with intensifying global economic instability and geopolitical conflicts. He said the countries in particular will work to advance trade relations in high-tech industries and clean energy, including semiconductors and hydrogen projects, and pursue further opportunities in defense cooperation. Yoon said they also discussed the growing threat posed by North Korea, which has test-fired around 100 missiles since the start of 2022 while accelerating its push to expand its nuclear arsenal. He said Scholz agreed to help maintain a consistent message to the international community that North Korea has nothing not gained from its illegal provocations, and coordinate on diplomatic efforts to pressure Pyongyang into abandoning its nuclear ambitions.
Okay, and let's see. Yeah, there's more to read on that if you want to read the rest of it. I'm going to go on my next one here. Okay, this one from Business Insider. Ukraine is losing 10,000 drones a month to Russian electronic warfare system that send fake signal and screw with their navigation, researcher says.
A new report estimates that Ukraine is losing roughly 10,000 drones every month. A sophisticated electronic warfare system is among Russia's biggest strengths, researchers said. Ukraine has the initiative, but Russia's army should not be written off, they added. A new assessment of Russia's current military capabilities on the front line has estimated that its forces are taking down around 10,000 Ukrainian drones every month. Electronic warfare is a critical component of Russia's tactics and is contributing to the staggering losses of Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, commonly known as drones, according to a report by the UK-based Royal United Services Institute, RUSI, released on Friday. Full screen. The estimated figures, which amounts to more than 300 drones a day, was attributed to 3 unnamed Ukrainian officers interviewed in April and May. The report did not specify what models comprised the claimed losses or in what proportion, but drone expert Dr. James Patton Rogers told Insider the majority of those being lost are relatively cheap, small commercial drones used for surveillance. The figures are indicative of the unprecedented scale at which UAVs are being used in Ukraine, he said, adding that this is one of the world's first drone versus drone conflicts. Patton Rogers said that while the figures are likely overestimated, they underline just how effective Russia's electronic warfare has become at countering Ukraine's extensive use of drones.
I mean, there's more to read on this if you want to read the rest of it. Yeah, they'll be going to electronic warfare, nuclear warfare, and all kind of stuff. North Korea and Russia and Iran. Let me go to the next one here. This one, Fox News. Durham report shows Biden and Obama knew truth of Trump collusion hoax, but kept it silent.
A silence kept in order to hide the truth is a lie. By that maxim, there are plenty of liars among prominent Democrats who knew that the damning Trump-Russia collusion narrative was all a hoax. But they chose to remain mum, preferring instead to watch contentedly as an American president was vilified non-stop by a media-driven orgy of lies. It consumed the nation for years and inflicted untold harm. None of them had the decency to volunteer the truth. This is one of the key findings in the 306-page Durham report that the special counsel filled to the brim with documented acts of deviousness, dishonesty, and malice by high officials in government whom we are supposed to trust but should not. In July 2016, CIA Director John Brennan rushed to the White House to brief then-President Barack Obama and Joe Biden, our current president, about alarming new evidence uncovered by American intelligence. The agency had obtained reliable information that Hillary Clinton had approved a campaign plan to stir up a scandal against Donald Trump by tying him to Putin and the Russians, page 81 of the report. It was an outrageous and wholly invented accusation unsupported by anything except Hillary's craven imagination. Her shrewd goal was to frame her opponent for unidentified crimes that he never committed and, thereby, damage or sink his candidacy. As Durham noted, the despicable smear had the dual benefit of distracting from her own nagging email scandal that was dragging down her poll numbers. Given its potency, the Clinton canard ranks as the dirtiest trick ever perpetrated in American politics. Obama and Biden knew all about Hillary's treachery and so did others in their orbit who were secretly briefed, including Attorney General Loretta Lynch, Director of National Intelligence James Clapper and FBI Director James Comey. This is corroborated by Brennan's handwritten notes. For the next 3 years all of them remained silent about the CIA's findings. Collectively, they concealed the truth of Trump's innocence as he was hounded by the constant condemnation of conspiring with Moscow, even though he did no such thing. On almost a daily basis, the media pronounced him guilty in the court of public opinion. Brennan and Clapper took to the airwaves and dishonestly denounced Trump as a Russian asset, hiding what they knew. At the outset of the hoax, Hillary's devoted coterie of disciples plotted to spread the lie. They secretly paid a sleazy ex-foreign spy, Christopher Steele, to obtain Russian disinformation about Trump and compose a phony dossier. They leaked it to journalists who promptly insisted that it was true without ever bothering to verify or corroborate its contents. News organizations even published the full collection of lies that was covertly bankrolled by Clinton's campaign and the Democratic National Committee.
Okay, and there's more to read on this if you want to read the rest of it. Yeah, I would never trust Hillary, Obama, or Biden. They're all thieves and liars. You know, they try to push propaganda on people, and they're trying to witch hunt Trump. That's all it is, a witch hunt for Trump. We need to get rid of those three people. Let me go to the next one. This from USA Today. Border Patrol kills Arizona man who reported immigrants on property, family says. FBI investigating.
The FBI is investigating the death of a tribal member in Arizona after U.S. Border Patrol agents shot him Thursday, authorities said. Customs and Border Protection officials said agents from the Ajo Border Patrol station shot the man around 10 p.m. local time on the Tejano O'odham Reservation near Ajo, Arizona. The shooting is under review by Customs and Border Protection's Office of Professional Responsibility, officials said. The Tejano O'odham Nation Police also are investigating. No additional information has been released. USA Today has reached out to the FBI and Customs and Border Protection for more information. Tejano O'odham Nation member called Border Patrol because there were illegal immigrants on his property, family said. Tejano O'odham Nation Tribal Chairman Ned Norris Jr. said the shooting occurred in the Managers Dam community and identified the victim as Raymond Mattia. Our hearts go out to his family and all those impacted during this difficult time, Norris said in a news release posted on Facebook. As the investigation proceeds, the nation expects full consideration of all related facts of the incident and an appropriate and expeditious response from relevant public safety agencies. According to Mattia's family, Mattia called Border Patrol because there were multiple illegal immigrants who had trespassed into his yard and he wanted assistance getting them out of his property, they told Tucson TV station KVOA. When the agents arrived, the family said, Mattia went outside and was shot, KVOA reported.
And it's, they didn't say why he was shot. If immigrant get on my property, I won't call it the law. I'll take care of it in my own way.
Including a Colombian family we introduced you to last week. A man traveling with his mom and wife, the women released. He's still in custody. Our ABC 10 News reporter Laura Acevedo joins us live from the border. Laura, this man isn't in San Diego anymore?
He's not, Kimberly. According to his attorney, he is now in custody in El Centro, exactly a week after he was taken from the border wall campsite here in San Ysidro, not far from this port of entry. Giselle Guerrero sits surrounded by her mom and grandmother in her Austin home, days after the pair were released from Border Patrol custody.
They are here and they were saying, we are not coming back if we don't have your dad.
Her dad is Antonio Guerrero. He and his wife and elderly mother traveled from Colombia, hoping to claim asylum in San Ysidro.
Okay, that video is about a different story. Anyway, illegal immigrants, I don't know why they shot the owner. They didn't say if the owner had a gun or not. I had to keep up on that one. Let me go to the next one here. This from Newser. Researchers find unhappy surprise in plastic recycling.
A new study on the recycling of plastic offers a disturbing surprise. In one way, the process may make the environmental problem worse. In the peer-reviewed study at Science Direct, UK researchers suggest that recycling plants create and release a troubling amount of microplastic pollution as they break down and wash the material, reports The Washington Post. In fact, up to 13% of the plastic being processed might end up in the air or groundwater in such microscopic fashion. The study is based on just a single, unnamed plant in the UK, though the facility is relatively new and has a modern filtration system. Even so, the researchers were surprised by the levels of microplastic they detected. It seems a bit backward, almost, that we do plastic recycling in order to protect the environment, and then end up increasing a different and potentially more harmful problem, says lead researcher Irina Brown of the University of Strathclyde, per Wired. Judith Enck, a former EPA official not involved in the study who now runs the advocacy group Beyond Plastics, calls the research credible and concerning. It should inspire environmental regulatory agencies to replicate the study at other plastic recycling facilities, she says. Better filtration systems at plants help, though not for the smallest bits of microplastic, notes a post at Interesting Engineering. Point one sentiment emphasized in coverage is that nobody is advocating people stop recycling plastic. It's still seen as the best way to limit the production of new material, even though in the US only an estimated 5% of it gets recycled in the first place. What it really highlights is that we just really need to consider the impacts of the solutions, says Brown. All in all, this is not a major reason why we have such a significant problem with microplastics in the environment, says Enck. But it's potentially part of it, and there's an irony to it because it involves recycling. In her view, the real solution is to start using much less plastic, period. Plastic pollution has
created a new disease for seabirds. I stopped it too soon. Anyway, trying to recycle, they only recycle, 5% of it, and it's causing more pollution. Let's go to the next one here. This from Tribune Content Agency. Robert B. Reich. Biden should ignore the debt ceiling. Don't declare an X date. Keep paying the bills. Don't default.
I want to start today with a bit of history that sheds some light on what's happening in Washington this week, and what Biden should do about the debt ceiling crisis created by Kevin McCarthy's Republican House. On October 22, 1985, Treasury Secretary James Baker III told congressional leaders that if Congress failed to raise the debt ceiling by the end of the month, the Reagan administration would pay the nation's bills by taking back Treasury securities in which Social Security had invested. I remember being stunned at the time. It was an extraordinary move. It meant Social Security would lose interest paid on its funds. If Congress still didn't raise the debt ceiling, Baker said the administration would borrow from the Railroad Retirement and Military Retirement Trust funds. And if the impasse continued, the administration would begin selling gold from the U.S. Gold Reserve, even though that could undercut confidence here in abroad based on the widespread belief that the gold reserve is the foundation of our financial system, Baker said. Baker's point was that the Reagan administration would continue to find ways to pay the nation's bills, come hell or high water. An agreement was finally reached after the Reagan administration had begun raiding Social Security but before it took any other measures. The Comptroller General of the United States later found Baker's raid on Social Security technically illegal but concluded nonetheless that Baker did not act unreasonably under the circumstances. I recount this history to give you some perspective on the current debt ceiling crisis and what I believe should be Biden's next move. First, showdowns over the debt ceiling have been going on for a long time. Second, they have often been fueled by soaring national debts due to Republican tax cuts for the wealthy and big corporations. The 1985 standoff involved a refusal by Senate Democrats to support a balanced budget, even though Reagan's mammoth spending on the military and huge tax cut had doubled the national debt in less than 5 years. Finally, fights over the debt ceiling have required Treasury secretaries to do extraordinary things to keep paying the nation's bills, sometimes technically illegal. Hence, there have never been X dates at which time the Treasury runs dry. There are just ever more extreme government bookkeeping measures.
And there's more to read on that if you want to read the rest of it. This is all Biden's fault. He just spends too much money. He giving a lot of money to Ukraine, not caring about the Americans. Biden is anti-America. Let me go with the next one. This is from Fox News. The State Department grants access to Biden Afghan documents after GOP threatens contempt charge.
House Republicans will be able to view documents this week relating to President Biden's Afghanistan withdrawal after months of stonewalling by the State Department. House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Representative Michael McCaul, Republican Texas, will access the documents at the State Department offices this week after threatening to hit Secretary of State Antony Blinken with a contempt of Congress charge. The document, a dissent cable from the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, details any misgivings State Department officials there had with Biden's withdrawal plans. McCaul had subpoenaed the document multiple times in the early months of this year, but Blinken had failed to provide it. The State Department instead offered a briefing on the document's contents, a move McCaul accepted while still demanding to see the document itself. McCaul will visit the department this week to read the document alongside Representative Greg Meeks, Democrat New York, the ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, according to Punchbowl News. The pair will view the document in full, but the names of those who contributed to the dissent report will be redacted. Blinken has argued from the beginning that providing access to the dissent report could dissuade State Department employees from being truthful in future dissent reports. The document is meant to be an opportunity for officials to be candid regarding upcoming operations. Blinken blew past the original subpoena deadline to supply the documents in March, then again in April when McCaul pushed back the deadline. McCaul set his latest line in the sand at May 1st, and Blinken again refused to provide the documents. McCaul threatened to charge Blinken with contempt of Congress as a result. The congressman told Fox News Digital last week that he planned to introduce the contempt charge on May 24th. "I don't take this lightly because a Secretary of State's never been held in contempt by Congress before," McCaul told Fox. "And I think the Secretary realizes that and the gravity. They probably prefer not to go down this route as well. But if they do not comply, we're prepared to move forward next week with a markup for resolution of contempt." Even if passed by the House, the contempt charge would largely have been a symbolic move, as President Biden's Justice Department would likely decline to prosecute the case.
Okay, and that's all I got on that one there. This is my last newscast here. I hope I got something for you that you can use. I hope I gave you some information. And don't forget, I am Alan for today's news. I will be reading, speaking about world news, interesting news, news to keep you entertained, and news to keep you informed. And until next time, thanks for watching.